Former Supreme Court Judge Tim Smith is part of Victoria's Accountability Roundtable, and he's advised the Baillieu government on how to set up its Anti-Corruption Commission. Well, that commission was due to start next month, but the government still hasn't found anyone to run it. And Professor Smith says there's little point in starting it up unless big changes are made. Professor Smith, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Is this IBAC doomed to fail?
I think so. Certainly as far as its investigative function of the public sector generally. As far as the investigation of the police is concerned, what has happened is that they have moved across the powers and jurisdictions of the original OPI, and that function will, it would seem, continue. But it's the other investigative function that's the big problem.
And that goes across the public sector, politicians, public servants?
It does, yes.
And what is your main concern?
I suppose the main concern is that an anti-corruption body, to perform its function, has to be able to investigate minor misconduct, because it's from the minor misconduct, particularly when there are curious features about it, that most of their discovery of serious corruption occurs. To say that this body can only investigate serious corruption means that that has been excluded. And so its ability to investigate corruption has been very severely limited. But then you add to that the way it's been done is to require that IBAC be reasonably satisfied that the corruption is serious corruption. And for that test to be satisfied before IBAC starts an inquiry is very difficult, because it will have very limited information. Huge problems.
So from a layperson's point of view, it seems, is it correct to say that the IBAC requires facts to be proven before they can investigate?
Yes, it has to proceed on facts, and the Act says so. And the facts that it will have before it initially will be sketchy. So the hurdles in the way of any investigation are huge.
An example that you cited in a speech earlier this week was that of the Liberal MP who's currently being investigated for allegedly rorting his taxpayer entitlements. Under your analysis, if he or anyone denies the accusation, is it true that the IBAC can't then investigate?
Well, my present thinking is that the result, that is the result. At worst, from the point of view of argument, it is clearly arguable.
It seems a bizarre situation.
Well, it is. And I wonder if it was intended, quite frankly.
Do you say that this has been a deliberate strategy?
Well, I don't know enough to know if it is or not. What they've tried to do is to limit the investigations of IBAC to serious corrupt conduct. The way they've gone about it, the drafting that has been done, has thrown up these arguments, which appear to me to be very difficult to overcome. The problem for IBAC, the problem for the community is, if you have a really serious situation of corruption to be investigated, and it's real, there really is corruption going on here. Or if that analysis is correct, all the person facing the allegations needs to do is to deny them. And because in that situation IBAC can't be satisfied until it's got into the investigation to work out who is telling the truth, it cannot reach the threshold required to be able to start the investigation. So it would be surprising if you really have a corrupt person in that situation that they will not deny. And then if the inquiry proceeds, they'll be off to the Supreme Court to say IBAC did not have authority to start the investigation.
Have you warned the government of your serious concerns about the IBAC?
The Round Table has brought its concerns to the attention of the government over the last few weeks, actually. There's yet to be a public statement from the government about its response to those. Whether there will be one, I don't know.
But you have made it abundantly clear to them that you don't believe the IBAC can succeed in its current model.
Yes.
And what's their reaction been?
Oh, they're considering it, I hope. I have reason to think they are. But I can't take it any further than that.
Were you asked to be the head of IBAC?
No.
Would you if you were asked?
I'm afraid not. I'm too old. You need someone younger. It's a very tough job.
Do you think it's such a tough job that the government is finding it difficult to find someone to run it?
I've got no idea how they're progressing. For all we know, they may have someone. I don't know.
What do you say the government's best option is now? Should they scrap the IBAC entirely, start again with a new model?
They should be going back to their election promise, which effectively was to build a system based on the New South Wales model. The model is there, it's not difficult, and I would have thought it's in the community's interest and in the government's long-term interest, actually, to go back and change it.
Tim Smith, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.